Shadows of the past, the autumn air in Meadowbrook carried a familiar scent that Rahul Kapoor hadn't experienced in 12 years. Fallen leaves crunched beneath his Italian leather shoes as he walked through the small university town that had once been his home. At 34, he cut an impressive figure-tailored navy suit, precisely trimmed beard, and the confident stride of someone who had conquered the world on his own terms. Glancing at his watch, a limited edition Patek Philippe, gift to himself. When Nexus Technologies hit its first billion in valuation, Rahul calculated he had 40 minutes before his keynote speech at the tech conference. Enough time for a coffee, and perhaps a nostalgic stroll past the university where everything had begun. Just a double espresso, he told the barista at Brewed Awakening. The coffee shop that had somehow survived the passage of time, while so much else had changed. The young woman behind the counter nodded without looking up. Busy with the morning rush, Rahul scrolled through emails on his phone, mentally rehearsing key points from his speech on disruption as a business model. His assistant had texted that his fiancée Vivian would arrive tomorrow for the charity gala fashionably late as usual. The thought brought a small smile to his face. In 6 months, he would marry into one of Boston's oldest families, completing his transformation from scholarship kid to someone who mattered. Rahul, is that you? The voice froze in mid-swipe. Some sounds carved themselves into memory, resurfacing with perfect clarity, despite years of silence. This was one of them, a voice that once whispered dreams against his skin on lazy Sunday mornings. He looked up to see Aisha Sharma standing before him, holding a paper cup in one hand and a leather portfolio in the other. But ears are treated. Her black hair was shorter now, falling just past her shoulders in sleek waves. The college girl with perpetually ink-stained fingers and oversized sweaters had transformed into a woman of quiet elegance, dressed in a simple burgundy, dress that suggested both taste and success. Aisha, he managed, his practiced eloquence momentarily deserting him. This is ... unexpected. Her smile was polite but measured. I live here now, well, part-time. I teach environmental engineering at the university. Rahul stood, suddenly aware of how this might look, him sitting while she stood, as though she were merely passing through his orbit rather than firmly planted in her own. You're teaching? That's great. The words felt inadequate. I always knew you'd make an excellent professor. And you've become exactly what you promised. I see your face on business magazines at the airport sometimes. To the headline on his open laptop, Nexus CEO Rahul Kapoor to announce major partnership at Tech Future Conference. A group of students entered, creating a momentary buffer of noise. Rahul used the interruption to gather himself. This was just an unexpected reunion, nothing more. People ran into old flames all the time. The trick was to be cordial, brief, and unmoved. Are you here for the conference? He asked. Something like that? Aisha glanced at her watch. I should go. I have a meeting in 15 minutes, of course. It was nice seeing you. She hesitated, something flickering behind her. Is a question unasked or a statement unspoken? Then it vanished, replaced by the same careful smile. Congratulations on everything, Rahul. You got exactly what you wanted. Before he could respond, she was gone, weaving through the morning crowd with purposeful steps. He watched her leave, remembering their last conversation 12 years ago in his cramped apartment near campus. We're from different worlds, Aisha. You want to save the planet? Want to build something that matters? You'll resent me eventually for choosing ambition over activism? That's not your choice to make for me, she had replied, tears streaming down her face. You're not walking away from us because of our different dreams. You're walking away because you think I'll hold you back. He had denied it then, but they both knew the truth. Finishing his coffee, Rahul closed his laptop and headed toward the conference center, pushing the encounter from his mind. The past was immutable, a closed chapter. What mattered was the future he had built. Nexus Technologies soon to announce a groundbreaking partnership with GreenSphere Solutions, a mysterious but innovative company that had pioneered carbon-negative manufacturing processes. Tomorrow, the deal would be finalized. Tomorrow, his company's value would potentially double. Tomorrow, The boy who had once been told he didn't belong in the rooms where decisions were made would sign papers worth billions. He straightened his tie and quickened his pace, leaving the shadows of yesterday behind him, or so he thought. Towers of glass, the Tech Future Conference Ballroom glittered with the polished veneer of success. Crystal chandeliers cast diamond-like reflections across the sea of entrepreneurs, investors, and tech journalists who had gathered to witness what the event organizers had billed as the partnership of the decade. At the center of it all stood Rahul, basking in the aftermath of his keynote speech, which had been received with thunderous applause. Mr. Kapoor, the Financial Times would love your comment on rumors that this partnership includes access to GreenSphere's proprietary carbon recapture technology. A reporter called out, "Digital recorder extended." Rahul offered his practiced media smile. "All details will be revealed at tomorrow's signing, but I can say that Nexus is committed to integrating sustainability into everything we do." The words flowed as Ali had rehearsed them with his PR team for weeks. What remained unspoken was how desperately Nexus needed this deal. Their last 3 product launches had underperformed, and their stock had plateaued. GreenSphere's revolutionary technology would give them the edge they needed in an increasingly eco-conscious market. "Darling, you were magnificent." Vivian Parker appeared at his side, immaculate in a designer gown that probably cost more than his first apartment's annual rent. She slipped her arm through his, diamond engagement ring catching the light. "Though I still don't understand why you insisted on holding this in Meadowbrook rather than New York or San Francisco." "Intimate," Rahul replied, kissing her cheek. "This is where Nexus began in, a university lab with nothing but ideas and ambition." "How charmingly humble origins of you," she teased. But her eyes were already scanning the room for more important connections.
Oh.
That was what he appreciated about Vivian, her relentless focus on advancement. As the daughter of a banking magnate, she understood the rules of success. His phone vibrated with a message from Trevor. His chief operating officer, GreenSphere team arrived. "Meeting room C in 5. "I need to go," Rahul told Vivian. "Preliminary meeting with our partners. Don't forget we're having drinks with the governor later," she reminded him. Already drifting toward a cluster of venture capitalists, Rahul straightened his tie and made his way to the private meeting room, mentally reviewing key negotiation points. This deal would cement his legacy, proof that a kid from nothing could build something extraordinary. When he entered meeting room C, Trevor was already there, along with their chief legal officer and 2 board members. The room fell silent as Rahul entered, an unusual tension in the air. "What's wrong?" he asked, immediately sensing something had shifted. Trevor cleared his throat. "Nothing's wrong exactly. There's been a development. GreenSphere CEO is here personally to oversee the final negotiations." "It's good news, isn't it? We've been trying to get a direct meeting for months." "Yes, but ... double quotes. Trevor exchanged glances with the others. "The CEO isn't who we thought. It's not Richard Montgomery." Before Rahul could ask for clarification, the door opened behind him. Turned to find Aisha Sharma walking in, followed by 2 executives he recognized from previous video conferences. She wore a tailored charcoal suit, her expression coolly professional as she extended her hand. "Hello, Rahul. I believe we have some business to discuss." The room seemed to tilt on its axis. Rahul automatically shook her hand, muscle memory carrying him through the motion while his mind raced to process this revelation. "You're GreenSphere's CEO?" he managed, aware of how foolish the question sounded. "Founder and CEO," she confirmed, taking a seat at the head of the table, the position he would normally occupy. "Shall we begin?" There are several points in Section 4 of the contract that need clarification. For the next hour, Rahul operated on autopilot, participating in discussions about licensing terms and technology implementation timelines. But his attention kept drifting to Aisha, how confidently she navigated complex negotiations, how thoroughly she understood both the technical and business implications of every clause. This wasn't the idealistic engineering student he had known. This was someone who commanded respect in a room full of industry veterans. When the meeting concluded, Aisha gathered her documents with efficient movements. "My team will send over the revised terms tonight," Can reconvene before the public signing tomorrow. As the others filed out, Rahul found himself unable to move. When they were finally alone, he broke the silence. Why didn't you tell me this? Morning, Aisha paused, placing her tablet in her leather portfolio, the same one she had been carrying at the coffee shop. Would it have mattered? Of course it would have mattered. This deal is about business, not personal history. She finished for him. You taught me that lesson quite effectively, Rahul. The calm certainty in her voice stung more than anger would have. So this is what? Revenge? You could have told me who you were instead of pretending to be some university professor. I am a university professor. I teach one seminar each semester, because I believe in giving back. Her eyes met his, unwavering, and I never lied to you. You assumed, and I didn't correct you. There's a difference. Before he could respond, the door opened again, and Vivian entered with her characteristic flair. There you are. The governor just arrived and she stopped, noticing Aisha. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were still in a meeting. We're finished. Aisha said smoothly. You must be Vivian Parker. Your father's work on sustainable investment portfolios is impressive. Vivian's perfectly sculpted eyebrows rose, slightly clearly surprised that someone would know her for her father rather than her social media presence or family name. This is Aisha Sharma, Rahul said, finding his voice. Love Greensphere Solutions. Oh, the mysterious partner everyone's been whispering about. Vivian's smile brightened. You must join us for drinks with the governor. Neat. He's very interested in green technology initiatives. Another time, perhaps, Aisha replied. I have a video call with my daughter scheduled. She's performing in her school play tomorrow, and I promised to help her practice her lines. She nodded politely to them both and left, the quiet click of the door behind her sounding strangely final. She seems formidable, Vivian commented. Did you know her back in your university days? Rahul stared at the door, feeling as though he were seeing his past through a distorted lens. I thought I did. Later that night, after excusing himself from the governor's gathering, Rahul sat alone in his hotel suite, scrolling through search results for Aisha Sharma Greensphere. The articles painted a picture he had completely missed: environmental engineering. Prodigy turns sustainable technology into billion-dollar enterprise. Secretive CEO revolutionizes manufacturing with zero-emission processes. Forbes 40 under 40. Listmaker declines most interviews, preferring to let her work speak for itself. One photograph showed her receiving an innovation award. A young girl standing proudly at her side. The child appeared to be around 11 years old, with features that stirred an unsettling recognition in Rahul. He enlarged the image. Studying the girl's face, her confident smile, the determined set of her jaw, a smile and determination that mirrored his own. Buried truths, morning light filtered through the hotel curtains, illuminating Rahul's untouched breakfast and the scattered printouts covering his desk. He hadn't slept. Instead, he'd spent the night piecing together the puzzle of Aisha Sharma's rise to power and the increasingly undeniable evidence that the daughter in those photographs might be his. A knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. Trevor entered, looking concerned at Rahul's disheveled appearance. You look like hell, his coup remarked. Oh. The signing ceremony is in 4 hours. Rahul rubbed his eyes. I need you to tell me everything about Greensphere's early funding. Were there initial investors? Trevor frowned. Why does that matter now? Just tell me. Series A was led by Horizon Ventures. Before that, Trevor consulted his tablet. Seed funding came from a private investor through a shell company called Phoenix Futures. It's very mysterious. Industry gossip suggested it might have been one of the tech old guard making a quiet bet on green technology. Phoenix, the mythical bird that rises from ashes. Rahul's mind flashed to a conversation from 12 years ago. Lying in bed with Aisha, discussing symbols of rebirth and transformation. When did Greensphere acquire the patents for the carbon recapture technology? 11 years ago? Trevor's expression shifted from confusion to suspicion. What's going on, Rahul? You're not getting cold feet about this deal, are you? As we need this partnership more than they do. Rahul waved him off. The deal will proceed as planned. I just need to speak with Ms. Sharma privately before the ceremony. That might be difficult. Her team says she's booked solid until the signing. Find a way, Rahul insisted, already heading for the shower. This isn't negotiable. 90 minutes later, Rahul stood in the botanical gardens adjacent to the conference center. Aisha approached along the stone path, her expression guarded. Your assistant was quite persistent, she said, stopping several feet away. He mentioned something urgent regarding the contract. There is no contract issue, Rahul drew a deep breath. Phoenix Futures? That was you, wasn't it? You funded my first patents through a shell company. Something flickered across her face, surprise. Perhaps that he had discovered this particular truth. Yes. Why? After the way things ended between us, because your idea was brilliant, she interrupted. And because I've never been petty enough to let personal disappointments stand in the way of innovation that could help people. The simplicity of her answer knocked the wind from his lungs. No grand revenge scheme, no elaborate plot, just the purity of believing in something worthwhile, regardless of who created it. The daughter in the photographs, he said carefully. She's mine, isn't she? Aisha's posture stiffened. Her name is Priya, and she's mine. But biologically, yes, she's also yours. 11 years old, Rahul calculated aloud. You were pregnant. When I left, I found out 2 weeks after you walked away. She turned slightly, gazing at a nearby Japanese maple. I tried to call you 3 times. You never called back.
Oh.
The memory surfaced 3 missed calls he'd attributed to Aisha trying to reconcile. 3 calls he'd ignored because he was busy networking with potential investors, convinced that looking backward would only slow his ascent. You should have tried harder, he said, immediately regretting the accusation. Aisha's laugh was soft. But sharp? You mean I should have begged? Chased after the man who told me I wasn't part of his future? No, Rahul. I had more important things to do, like creating a life for my daughter and myself. Our daughter, he corrected. Biology doesn't make you a parent. Her voice remained calm, but her eyes had hardened. Priya knows about you. I've never lied to her. She knows her father chose a different path, and that's okay. She has uncles, grandparents, family friends who adore her. She's never lacked for love or support. Rahul struggled to process everything. Does she know I'm here? That we're meeting? No. And this meeting changes nothing. I didn't come to Meadowbrook to disrupt your life, Rahul. I came because Greensphere needs Nexus's global distribution network, and Nexus needs our technology. It's business. How can you be so clinical about this? We have a child together. I have a child, Aisha corrected. You have a biological connection to someone you've never met. There's a difference. A notification chimed on her phone. She glanced at it, then back at him. I need to go. Priya's school just called she won first place in the science fair. Rahul said, desperation creeping into his voice. I want to meet her. Aisha paused, studying him with eyes that seemed to see everything his confusion. His dawning regret, his sudden desire to claim what he hadn't known existed. That's not your decision to make, she said finally. Or mine, for that matter. It's Priya's. She wants to meet you someday. I won't stand in the way. But I won't push her either.
Ouch!
And what about us? The question escaped before he could. Consider its implications. There is no us, Rahul. There's you and your fiancé and the life you've built. And there's me and my daughter and the company I've created. She adjusted her blazer, a gesture that seemed to reset her professional demeanor. I'll see you at the signing. As Aisha walked away, Rahul stood rooted in place, watching the mother of his child disappear around a bend in the garden path. The realization hit him like a physical blow. Aisha hadn't just moved on, she had flourished. While he'd been climbing corporate ladders and chasing validation through acquisitions and partnerships, she had built something authentic, a family, a company with genuine purpose, life aligned with her deepest values. The garden suddenly felt too small, too manicured, too artificial, much like the carefully curated existence he'd constructed for himself. Back at the hotel, Vivian was directing hotel staff on the placement of flower arrangements for the post-signing reception. There you are, she said, frowning at his distracted expression. The PR team needs to brief you on the talking points for the press conference. I need a minute, Rahul replied, his mind still reeling from his conversation with Aisha. Vivian dismissed the staff with a graceful wave, then turned to him with narrowed eyes. "What's going on? You've been acting strange since yesterday's meeting. It's complicated. Try me." She crossed her arms. "Does this have something to do with Aisha Sharma? I saw how you looked at her." Rahul considered lying. It would be easier, cleaner, but the weight of secrets already felt suffocating. "She's not just a business partner," he admitted. "We were together in college and ... double quotes." He swallowed hard. "She has a daughter. My daughter, a child I never knew existed." Vivian's expression shifted from surprise to calculation. The banker's daughter assessing a new risk. Is she looking for money? Recognition? What does she want? "Nothing," Rahul said, surprised by how defensive he felt. "But she doesn't want anything." "From me?" That's what. So he struggled to find the right word. "Humbling," he finished. "I see." Vivian's voice had cooled several degrees. "And what do you want, Rahul?" It was the question he'd been asking himself since the garden. What did he want? To suddenly play father to a stranger, or to rekindle something with Aisha, or simply to ease the growing realization that he had made a terrible mistake 12 years ago? "I don't know," he answered honestly. "I'll figure it out quickly," Vivian said, slipping her engagement ring off and placing it on the table between them. "Because I won't be collateral damage in whatever midlife crisis you're experiencing. Call me when you've made up your mind." She left without another word. Soft click of the door belying the seismic shift that had just occurred in his life. Alone again. Rahul picked up the diamond ring, 3 carats. Flawless clarity, the physical manifestation of a perfectly sensible partnership between compatible ambitions. He had never once doubted his choice to propose to Vivian. Until now, his phone buzzed with a reminder. The signing ceremony would begin in 45 minutes. In less than an hour, he would stand beside Aisha on a stage, smiling for cameras and speaking about the future of sustainable technology. They would shake hands as business partners while carrying the weight of unresolved history between them. And somewhere in this town was a child with his eyes and Aisha's determined, spirited daughter who had grown up without him because of a choice he had made when he was too young and too ambitious to understand what truly mattered. Fractured reflections. The signing ceremony unfolded like a perfectly choreographed dance. Handshakes, speeches, champagne toasts, and carefully framed photographs capturing the historic partnership between Nexus Technologies and Greensphere Solutions. Rahul performed his role flawlessly, delivering remarks about sustainable innovation and shared visions for the future. If anyone noticed the slight tremor in his hand as he signed the contract beside Aisha, they attributed it to the significance of the moment. Only Trevor, standing in the wings, seemed to register that something fundamental had changed. When the cameras finally stopped flashing and the journalists dispersed to file their stories, he approached Rahul with concerned eyes. "Vivian left," Trevor said quietly. "Our assistant collected her things from the hotel. Want to tell me what's happening?" "Not now," Rahul replied, watching Aisha across the room as she spoke with a group of environmental policy experts. She seemed completely at ease, radiating authentic passion when discussing Greensphere's mission. "If this is about Sharma, you need to be careful," Trevor warned. "The board won't appreciate personal drama interfering with." I said, "Not now." Rahul's tone left no room for argument. "Take over the rest of the meetings today. I have something important to handle." Without waiting for a response, Rahul made his way through the crowd, nodding absently at congratulations until he reached Aisha's side. "May I speak with you privately?" he asked, interrupting her conversation. She excused herself from the group with graceful efficiency. "I have 5 minutes before my next meeting." They stepped into a quiet alcove, away from the bustle of the reception. Rahul had rehearsed this moment in his mind, yet now found himself struggling for words. "I'd like to meet Priya," he finally said. "Not to disrupt her life or make demands, just to ... know her." Aisha studied him with that penetrating gaze that always made him feel transparent. "Why now, Rahul? Because you've discovered she exists. Or because you've discovered she's the daughter of someone successful?" The accusation stung precisely because it contained a kernel of truth. Would he have been so eager if Aisha had remained the idealistic environmental engineer he'd left behind? If Priya had been the child of someone without power or influence? "I don't know," he admitted, choosing honesty over pride. Maybe both. But does that make the desire any less real? Something in his candor seemed to reach her. Aisha's expression softened slightly. She has a science demonstration at her school this afternoon, she said. A project on renewable energy that won the regional fair. She'll be presenting it to parents and judges at 4 o'clock. She checked her watch. If you want to see her, just see her, not meet her. You too could attend as part of the community audience. Thank you, Rahul said, feeling an unexpected swell of emotion. I'll be there. This doesn't change anything, Aisha reminded him. You'll be an observer, nothing more. If and when Priya wants to meet you, it will be her choice. He nodded, understanding the boundaries she had established. At precisely 3:45 that afternoon, Rahul slipped into the back row of the middle school auditorium, feeling distinctly out of place in his tailored suit among parents in casual clothes. The room buzzed with pre-presentation excitement. Proud families chatting while students made last-minute adjustments to their displays. He spotted Aisha immediately, seated in the front row. She wore a simple blouse and jeans now, her corporate armor set aside as she spoke animatedly with an older woman who shared her Aisha's mother, he realized. The family he might have been part of, and then he saw her Priya Sharma, standing confidently beside a sophisticated model of what appeared to be a miniature renewable energy grid. Even from a distance, the resemblance was undeniable. She had Aisha's delicate features and warm complexion, but his height, his jawline, and the characteristic way he gestured when explaining complex concepts. Something tightened in Rahul's chest as he watched his daughter walk the judges through her project, articulating scientific principles with a clarity that belied her 11 years. Pride and emotion he had no right to feel washed over him. This brilliant child was half him, yet entirely her own person. Shaped by a mother who had never once diminished her father in her eyes, despite having every reason to do so. After the presentations concluded and Priya was awarded first place, Rahul remained in his seat, watching from afar as Aisha embraced their daughter. As grandparents offered congratulations, as a whole ecosystem of love and support surrounded the child he had never known, he left before they could notice him, walking aimlessly through the streets of Meadowbrook until he found himself at the small lake where he and Aisha had once spent countless hours discussing their dreams. The setting sun painted the water in shades of amber and gold as he sat on their old bench, memories surfacing like air bubbles from the depths. His phone buzzed incessantly, messages from Trevor about media reactions to the partnership. From board members offering congratulations, from Vivian asking when they would discuss the situation. He silenced them all, for the first time in years. Perhaps the first time since leaving Meadowbrook, Rahul allowed himself to consider a devastating possibility. What if he had been wrong? What if his relentless pursuit of success had actually led him away from what would have made him truly successful as a human being? The sound of footsteps on the lakeside path roused him from his thoughts. He looked up to find Aisha approaching, her expression unreadable in the fading light. "I thought I might find you here," she said, remaining standing as he sat on the bench. "Old habits. She's amazing," Rahul said simply. "Brilliant and poised, and she gets that from both of us," Aisha acknowledged, the first time she had explicitly recognized their shared connection to Priya. The science fair judge wants to enter her project in the national competition. She'll win that too, Rahul said with certainty. A moment of silence stretched between them, filled with the weight of years and choices and consequences. Vivian left, he finally said. She gave back the ring. "I'm sorry, are you?" Aisha sighed, finally sitting beside him, not close, but no longer standing apart. "I'm sorry for any pain you're experiencing. I've never wished you ill, Rahul. Even after I left the way I did, I was angry for a long time," she admitted. "When I found out I was pregnant, I was terrified and furious and heartbroken all at once. But then Priya was born and everything shifted. My focus became creating a good life for her, not dwelling on what might have been. And somewhere along the way, you built an empire." A small smile played at her lips. "That wasn't the goal. Just wanted to solve problems that mattered." The success followed, while I chased success directly and found. He trailed off, uncertain how to finish the thought. "Found what you were looking for," Aisha completed for him. You wanted recognition, achievement, wealth. You have all of that. It feels hollow now. That's not my burden to carry, Rahul. Her voice was gentle, but firm. I can't be responsible for your midlife reckoning with your choices. He nodded, acknowledging the truth in her words. I don't expect you to fix anything, I just... I saw our daughter today, and I realized everything I missed. Everything I threw away thinking it would hold me back, when maybe it would have anchored me to something real instead. Aisha was quiet for a long moment, watching the last light fade from the sky. Priya asked about you tonight, she finally said. She saw you at the presentation. Rahul's heart skipped. What did she say? She asked if you were her father. I told her yes. She asked if you knew about her before today. She told her the truth that you didn't, that I should have tried harder to tell you, and that you seem to want to know her now. What did she say to that? She said she'd think about it. Aisha smiled slightly. She's methodical, likes to process things thoroughly before making decisions. Like her mother, Rahul observed. And stubborn like her father, Aisha countered, a hint of their old rapport surfacing as darkness settled over the lake. They sat in companionable silence to people connected by past love, present circumstance, and a child who embodied both their strengths and none of their mistakes. What happens now? Rahul finally asked. Now we honor the partnership our companies have formed, Aisha replied pragmatically. We implement the integration plan. We do the work we've committed to doing, and Priya, we give her time. If she decides she wants to meet you, we'll arrange. If not, we respect her choice. She stood, signaling the end of their conversation. I can't offer you more than that, Rahul. My priority has always been her well-being. I understand, he said, and for perhaps the first time he truly did. As Aisha walked away, Rahul remained on the bench, contemplating the fractured reflections of his life, the success he had achieved, the family he had never known, and the uncertain path that lay ahead. The choices that had seemed so clear at 22 now appeared short-sighted and hollow at 30-4. His phone buzzed again, a message from Trevor marked urgent. The board wanted an emergency meeting to discuss concerns about the partnerships. Stability given personal complications. The familiar pull of corporate crisis management tugged at him. 6 months ago, he would have rushed back to the hotel, assembled his team, and worked through the night to contain the situation. Now, he simply turned off his phone and continued, gazing at the darkened lake, wondering what it would feel like to live a life measured by more than stock prices and acquisition deals. For the first time in 12 years, Rahul Kapoor sat still, neither chasing the next achievement nor running from the past, simply existing in a moment of painful clarity as stars began to appear in the night sky above. Bridges over troubled waters 3 months after the signing. Ceremony. Rahul stood at the window of his new apartment in Meadowbrook, watching autumn give way to early winter. Leaves that had blazed in fiery colors now carpeted the ground, and morning frost outlined every branch and twig in delicate white. The space around him was sparsely furnished, a stark contrast to his former penthouse in Boston with its designer furniture and curated art collection. Here, he had only what he needed: a comfortable couch, a solid desk, bookshelves filling steadily with volumes on environmental science and sustainable engineering, and walls adorned with just one piece of art, a framed photograph of the university campus where everything had begun. His phone chimed with a video call from Trevor. The board is getting impatient, his coup said without preamble. This sabbatical was supposed to be temporary. It's been 3 months, Rahul. I'm still CEO, Rahul replied calmly. I attend all critical meetings virtually, review all major decisions, and the integration with GreenSphere is proceeding ahead of schedule. But you're not here, and people notice. Trevor ran a hand through his hair, now showing streaks of gray that hadn't been there before the partnership announcement. The rumors are getting worse. Some are saying you had a breakdown, others that you're being pushed out. Investors are nervous. Then let them meet with me virtually. I'll reassure them. That's not the same as you being physically present, and you know it. Trevor's frustration was evident. What are you even doing there? Playing small-town professor while we manage a global corporation? Rahul's gaze drifted to the stack of research papers on his desk. His contribution to the university's environmental engineering department, where he now guest lectured once a week. I'm figuring out what matters, he answered simply. Trevor's expression softened slightly, and Vivian. She's been asking when you'll make a decision about the engagement. I already have. We spoke last week. It's over. Sorry to hear that. Trevor said, though he didn't sound particularly sorry. She would have made a suitable corporate wife. The phrase corporate wife struck Rahul as profoundly sad. Had that been all he wanted? Someone suitable. Someone who fit the role rather than someone who challenged and completed him. I need to go, Rahul said. I have an appointment. After ending the call, he gathered his coat and a small gift bag, checking his watch as he headed out the door. Punctuality had taken on new importance in his life, not because time was money, as his former self might have said, but because it demonstrated respect for others' boundaries. 20 minutes later, he sat on a park bench watching children play on an elaborate climbing structure. A light snow had begun to fall, not enough to send anyone home, just enough to add a touch of magic to the afternoon. Mr. Kapoor. He turned to find Priya Sharma standing beside the bench, bundled in a purple coat with a matching knit hat. Up close, the resemblance between them was even more striking. The same determined set to her jaw. The same analytical gaze assessing him carefully. "Hello, Priya," he said, his practiced corporate eloquence deserting him entirely. "Thank you for agreeing to meet me." She sat beside him, maintaining a careful distance. "Mom said I could talk to you for 30 minutes. She's over there." Priya pointed to a nearby cafe where Aisha sat at a window table, ostensibly reading something on her tablet, but clearly keeping watch. "That seems fair," Rahul agreed. "I brought you something." He offered the small gift bag. "Your mother approved it first." Priya accepted the package with careful hands, methodically removing the tissue paper to reveal a small, beautifully crafted wooden box. When she opened it, a tiny solar panel on top activated a mechanism that set the interior components spinning up. Miniature version of the renewable energy grid she had created for her science project. But with several engineering improvements, you fixed the efficiency problem in the transfer mechanism, she observed, studying the device with expert eyes. "I tried," Rahul acknowledged. "Your original design was already brilliant. I just made a small adjustment to reduce energy loss." During conversion, Priya turned the box in her hands, examining it from all angles. "Did you make this yourself?" "Yes. The engineering department at the university let me use their workshop." A small smile tugged at her lips. His smile, he realized with a jolt of recognition. "Mom said you were smart. Your mother is generous," Rahul replied. "She could have said many other things about me, and they would have been justified." Priya fixed him with a direct gaze that reminded him so much of Aisha, it made his chest ache. "She told me everything. You didn't know about me because you left before finding out. That you had different dreams. That you weren't ready to be a dad." The simplicity with which she described his greatest failure was humbling. "That's all true. Are you ready now?" she asked. The question cutting through pretense with the directness only children can manage. Rahul considered his answer carefully. "I don't know if anyone is ever truly ready to be a parent," he said honestly. "But I know that I would like the chance to know you, in whatever way you're comfortable with. I've missed 11 years of your life. Don't expect to make that up. Overnight, or maybe ever. But I'd like to be part of your future if you'll allow it." Priya studied him with that analytical gaze again, as though cataloging his features and comparing them to her own. "Mom says I have your eyes and your stubbornness." "She's right about both," Rahul smiled. "But you have her brilliance and her compassion. Did you love her before you left?" The question caught him off guard. He glanced toward the cafe where Aisha sat, still maintaining her discreet vigil. "Yes," he answered, turning back to Priya. "I loved her very much. I just loved it. My ambition more at the time. It was the biggest mistake of my life." Priya nodded, seeming satisfied with his honesty. "I have karate on Tuesdays and Thursdays, science club on Wednesdays, and I stay with my grandparents every other weekend. But I'm free on Monday afternoons." Took Rahul a moment to understand what she was offering. Monday afternoons would be perfect, he said, trying to keep his voice steady despite the emotion welling in his chest. We could start with 1 hour, Priya continued pragmatically. If that goes well, maybe longer next time. I'd like that very much. She nodded again, a businesslike gesture that reminded him of himself in board meetings. I should go now. Mom and I are having dinner with Uncle Vikram and his family tonight. Of course, Rahul stood as she did, resisting the urge to hug her. They weren't there yet, might never be there, and he needed to respect that. Thank you for meeting with me, Priya. She tucked the wooden box carefully into her pocket. You for fixing my design. I'll see you on Monday. As Priya walked toward the cafe, Aisha stepped outside to meet her. They spoke briefly, and then Aisha glanced in Rahul's direction. After a moment's hesitation, she raised her hand in a small wave of acknowledgement. He returned the gesture, understanding the tacit message, a tentative truce for their daughters' sake that evening, as snow continued to fall outside his apartment windows. Rahul opened his laptop to find an email from the university's environmental engineering department. His proposal for a guest lecture series on integrating sustainable practices into corporate structures had been accepted. A second email contained the final integration timeline for Nexus and GreenSphere, with Aisha's annotations highlighting potential efficiency improvements. A third message, this one from his personal assistant in Boston, informed him that the penthouse had sold for above asking price and included a reminder about his scheduled meeting with the Nexus board next week to discuss his future intentions. Rahul closed the laptop and walked to the window, watching snowflakes swirl in the glow of street lamps. 3 months ago, he had been a man who measured success in acquisitions and valuations, who saw relationships as strategic alliances, who believed that moving forward meant never looking back. Now, he understood that true progress sometimes required returning to the crossroads where you had taken a wrong turn, not to change the past that was impossible, but to choose a different path forward. His phone buzzed with a text. Message from Aisha. She'd like to meet at the Science Museum on Monday, 4 p.m. She'll show you her favorite exhibits. Rahul typed. Back a simple reply. I'll be there. Second message appeared. The modifications you made to her project were elegant. Simple, but effective. He smiled at the professional compliment so characteristic of Aisha to acknowledge good work regardless of personal history. I learned from the best, he replied. Then, after a moment's hesitation, he added, Thank you for giving me this chance. With her, I know I haven't earned it. The typing indicator appeared and disappeared several times before her response finally came through. Everyone deserves the opportunity to grow. Rahul, even you. The typing indicator appeared and disappeared several times before her response finally came through. Everyone deserves the opportunity to grow, Rahul, even you. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was an acknowledgement that people could change, that the man who had walked away 12 years ago wasn't necessarily the man standing here now. The next morning, Rahul woke early and walked through fresh snow to the university campus. In the engineering building, he found Aisha in her office, surrounded by student projects and technical journals. Priya told me about your meeting, she said, looking up from her work. She seems cautiously optimistic. That's more than I deserve, Rahul acknowledged. I wanted to talk to you about the integration timeline. Your suggestions for improvement make sense, but I think we could take it further. Aisha gestured to the chair across from her desk, and for the next hour, they discussed the technical details of merging their company's technologies, two brilliant minds finding common ground in the work, if not yet in their personal history. As their meeting concluded, Rahul gathered his courage to ask the question that had been haunting him for months. Do you ever wonder what might have happened if I had stayed? Aisha considered him thoughtfully. I used to. For years, actually. But then I realized something important. The man you were then couldn't have been the partner I needed or the father Priya deserved. You needed to become who you are now, and perhaps that journey required you to leave. And who am I now? He asked, genuinely curious about her perception. I don't know yet, she answered honestly. But you're someone who was humble enough to start over? brave enough to face your mistakes, and wise enough to recognize what actually matters. That's a beginning. As he left her office, Rahul felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Not the sharp thrill of closing a deal or the satisfaction of surpassing a competitor, but a quieter, deeper sense of rightness. The path ahead was uncertain. The relationship with his daughter was fragile and new. The possibility of anything beyond professional courtesy with Aisha remained distant and unspoken. But for the first time since returning to Meadowbrook, Rahul understood that he wasn't trying to reclaim the past or fix his mistakes. He was building something entirely new, a life defined not by what he accumulated or achieved, but by the connections he fostered and the value he created for others. The following Monday, as he waited outside the Science Museum for his daughter to arrive, Rahul spotted them approaching together, Isha and Priya, engaged in animated conversation, their matching strides and gestures revealing the deep bond between them. When Priya saw him, she offered a tentative wave. Aisha met his gaze with a small, measured smile that contained neither promise nor rejection, just openness to whatever the future might hold. Rahul waved back, standing tall in the winter sunlight. The man who had once abandoned everything for ambition now understood the most important lesson of all. True strength wasn't found in walking away from complications, but in building bridges across troubled waters. In showing up day after day for the people who mattered and doing the patient, unheralded work of becoming someone worthy of their trust. It wouldn't be easy. Real transformation never was. But as Priya approached, ready to share her world with him one carefully measured hour at a time, Rahul knew with absolute certainty that this, not acquisitions or accolades, was the most important project of his life. And this time, he wasn't walking away.